So I didn't want to start today off like this. I mean, I just wanted to jump into our day, have a good time. It's the first time we've hung out in a while, right? But today was a rough start here at Animal Kingdom. And normally when I have a rough start to my day, which happens every once in a while, I take a step away, I kind of shake things off, and then we continue on. We have a good rest of our day. But today I'm gonna sit and talk to you for just a second, okay? Because I know that there are some of you out there who might encounter something like this. In fact, I'm sure of it. I'm sure that every once in a while you are here, even at the most magical place on earth, having not the best day. You got a funk, you got a dark cloud hanging over your head. And so I think we need to acknowledge that every once in a while. So often people acknowledge that Disney is a magical place and, there are no bad days at Disney, but that is a lie. So what happened today is I encountered a few not great things. Mildly annoying, but up into straight up frustrating. The way that the guy parked next to me was super close. I have no idea how he's gonna get out of his car. Then I kind of encountered this guy, this dad who was pushing past people on the way into Animal Kingdom, pushing them out into the flow of traffic so that he could rush into the park and save a space in line for his family, which is really not the thing that bothers me. It's that he pushed people out into the flow of traffic, which is just, come on, But the thing that really bothered me was that as I got into the park, there was this family that was heckling their teenage daughter who was pushing a stroller with a good-sized kid in it. They were kind of making their way uphill. You know how it's really hilly at the start of Animal Kingdom, and she was kind of carrying the momentum, pushing the stroller uphill, and they weren't having any of it. The adults just wanted her to walk with them and just were giving her a hard time about it. First thing in the morning, not even 8:30. And that really rubbed me the wrong way because I see this type of thing in the parks all the time. And I don't talk to you guys about it all that often. I may have posted about it here and there, but long and short of it, some parents out there, they put way too much weight on their kids when they're here in the parks, especially on their daughters. I don't know why this seems to be a trend, but despite the fact that these adults are the adults, these parents are the parents, they're putting the weight of being a parent on their daughters, and I don't think that it's okay, and it really gets to me. It does. I've encountered it so many times. Some of these encounters weren't as mild as the one that I saw today, but they're burned into my brain, and it bothers me. And so sometimes when I encounter this type of thing and it gets to me, it hits me just right, I need a minute. I need a second to just breathe, to step away and collect myself, to try and shake off the funk, clear away the dark cloud that is kind of forming over my head. And that's exactly what I did today. I made my way into the park, and I was like, I can't go into today and have fun feeling like this. I need a second to recenter. So I pulled off in a quiet space and I started chatting with you because, why not, right? But I'm not always chatting with you when I feel like this. More often than not, I pull up my phone and I scroll through something, play a stupid game, or sometimes I just enjoy the scenery. I bird watch or whatever. But all of this to say, there's this, like I said, this lie that there are no bad days at Disney, and that's not true. But whatever the case, whatever the reason, whatever you encounter that puts you in that position, I think it's important to recognize that despite the fact that this is Disney World and it's go, 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 and there's all this hurry up to try and get everything done kind of attitude, kind of vibe, you need to take a minute. Sometimes you need to take a minute, and I'm here to tell you that it's okay to do that. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to do that, because when you don't, what ends up happening is not only does that funk, that cloud stay over you, but more often than not, you end up taking out that frustration, that feeling, that funk, that whatever on the people that you're traveling with. Maybe it's with your family, maybe it's with your kids, maybe it's with a cast member or even a stranger that you encounter in the parks. I see it all the time, and it's not okay. So, that having been said, step away from the group for a second, run to the bathroom, grab a drink, find a quiet spot, whatever it is that you need to do, but do it. And yes, even if you're here on vacation and you're not here all the time, okay? I know that there's one of you who's gonna throw out that excuse. Well, you're there all the time, so you can take a second. No, you're here for an entire day. You definitely can take a second. Please, take that second. But that having been said, welcome back to the channel. We're here in Animal Kingdom today. I do feel a lot better having taken a second, and now I think it's time to go get some coffee. Actually, multiple coffees, because there's a new thing available over in Pandora that I want to try, so that's the whole reason we're here today. And then we have some news to talk about. So, you ready? Let's go. So yeah, like I said, I've got coffee on the brain. We're gonna go try a new coffee flight available over at, I think it's Satu'li Canteen. I should probably check before we make our way over. Before we do though, I just wanna remind you that the sound might be a little bit different today, and that is because I am working with a different audio setup temporarily while my microphones are off to get worked on. So, bear with me as things sound a little bit different, probably don't sound as good or as clear or consistent as they normally do. Also, I did get a comment that said that my audio was garbage the other day, and I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for me to remind you that I have a P.O. box, and so if you feel so strongly that my audio sucks and that you have the solution, you can send it to me. Seriously, you could. You won't, but you could. Anyway, let's go grab that coffee. Also, as we kind of just peek on over toward DinoLand before turning this direction so we can head to Pandora, we do have a closing date for the Boneyard, which is the playground over in DinoLand, USA. Looks like that's going to be closing a little bit earlier than expected, September 2nd, which is an interesting development, one that I want to talk a little bit more about with you. But let's find a shady spot to order our coffee. Yeah, we're gonna put in a mobile order. Maybe get some food too. All right, our mobile order is in, and now we're gonna make our way over to Satu'li Canteen. I ordered the coffee flight, which is like $8 and change, and I also ordered a kids meal because, I mean, why not? They have French toast, which is delicious. I don't need a whole portion, but a little something to go with this coffee would be nice. All right, we got our coffee flight, and I also got French toast kids meal. I didn't get my drink. I was supposed to get a bottled water. I can't really go back in there with ease though. I only have so many hands to work with, and since I'm by myself, you know, anyway, maybe after we eat, I'll make my way back in, or maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But so we have 3 separate coffees here. We have an ube, we have like a standard cold brew, and we have a matcha. I am gonna put information right here so that you can check that out. And then of course we have our kids meal, French toast. Figured if I'm gonna suck down all this coffee, I might as well put something in my stomach as well. I am looking forward to this. I will say it is a little toasty out here. At least we have some shade and we have a quiet spot, but I'm a little bit disappointed because Satu'li Canteen has like so many spaces to sit inside. Like it's a good sized space, but like half of it is blocked off right now. You can't sit in there, and they even have like one of the stations that has drinks and silverware and stuff. They've got that blocked off too, which I feel like it contributes to how crowded Walt Disney World feels. This is a whole discussion that we've had before, and we can get into it again at some point, but people say there's so many more people here. I don't think that there are more people here. I think that there's less places for them to go when it comes to attractions being down, when it comes to things like this, you know, where you just can't get, you know, utensils from more than one place, and people are just struggling to get what they need, you know. Anyway, that is a conversation that we have had before, and we'll probably have it again, but not right now because I've got some coffees to look at. So here's our first coffee. We're gonna start here. It's the least interesting of the coffees. It's like a cold brew, smells vanilla-y. I think I have a description here, so let me take a look. This is just cold brew. Standard garden variety cold brew. It's good. Sweet, it's not black. So that's nice. All right, let's try some of these other ones though. We've got a matcha here with, I don't know what this is, but it's on there. Does it smell like anything? No, I can't smell anything. Let's take a little a bite. Let's take a sip of the foam. Oh, that's just like whipped cream. That doesn't taste different or fancy at all. It's just blue. I don't really taste any matcha. Maybe it's because it's settled at the bottom. Let's grab our knife and stir. Right now, it just kind of tastes like cold brew. Don't do that, kids. That definitely tasted like matcha. Let's take another sip. Definitely cold brew with that hint of matcha, that like earthiness that you get from matcha. I like that. Next, we have the ube. Now, ube is a purple sweet potato. It doesn't really have a very distinct taste, not like matcha, but it is delicious. It's like sweet and creamy, so we'll see how this goes. Oh, that's nice. That's definitely the best one. At least that's what I think based off our initial impressions. We're gonna enjoy these, but let's take a bite of this French toast. We've had this before. This is part of the like new breakfast menu here. Well, new-ish. We tried it when it first came out. We tried this and the sausage scramble hash plate, both very good. This is the kids menu thing. No, look at the size of this bite. What am I doing to myself? That is too big a bite. We're gonna break that up. The kids menu offers one slice of this French toast as opposed to two. And I will say this time, it's a huge slice. It's like takes up the whole plate. This is good stuff. All right, one more bite. Then let's talk about the closing of the Boneyard, because I mentioned I wanted to get a little bit more into that. So like I said, we recently found out that the Boneyard is going to be closing on September 2nd. That's the day after the end of Cool Kids Summer. And this is ahead of schedule. Originally, Disney said that they were going to be closing the Boneyard as well as the rest of DinoLand USA in January 2026. So you'd have the rest of the year to basically say your goodbyes to this land before it transitions over into the tropical Americas. But they seem to have changed course. Now, this is an interesting change. Also, speaking of change, we have changed venues. Satu'li Canteen got a little crowded, so I've moved off to a corner of Pizzafari. It's an interesting change because, you know, usually with Disney, we see them pushing their timelines back. You know, they give us more time with a thing or more time without it. But in this case, they're moving their timeline up, starting to close things down sooner than we expected they would. And this, you know, I mean, it makes sense because, of course, Disney's going to do what's best for them when it comes to progressing forward with this Tropical America's new area of Animal Kingdom. But I feel like it also adds a little bit of uncertainty to the Disney vacation experience, especially for guests who, you know, diligently follow the information that Disney puts out. You'll have until the end of the year to say your goodbyes to DinoLand, and then, oops, actually, it's until September, you know, closing down right before that holiday rush, right before most people, or I should say a lot of people, make their way to the Walt Disney World Resort to have their vacations. And I know that there are some of you who are like, well, it's just the Boneyard, and you're right, it is just the Boneyard, but who's to say that Dinosaur won't be next? I mean, we know it's going to close, but when exactly is it going to close? And can we expect it to close early now that we know that the Boneyard is going to be closing early? You know? This kind of actually reinforces something that we've talked about before too, when I say that I'm not entirely sure that Disney knows their audience, their target audience, their guests. They seem to have lost touch with even what it is that they are offering, at least in my opinion. And not to get too deep into that today, but like Disney isn't a vacation that you just do on a whim. You know, it takes a lot of planning. People plan a year out, 6 months out. So the idea that you would have been waiting for information from Disney about a thing to plan your vacation way in advance, only for them to be like, actually, something's closing before we expected it to. Sorry, tough cookies. It just kind of reinforces that whole like, what are we doing here thing that I've been thinking. Anyway, let's take a second before we move on, because I do want to hit up the shops on our way out to talk a little bit about that coffee flight. So I do think that the price isn't too bad on that coffee flight. It's $8 and change for 3 cups of coffee. They're not huge cups, they're rather small, but it's a lot of coffee. And since a coffee goes for like $6-7 anyway, it seems fair. Seems fair to me. I didn't really find anything too special about the regular cold brew. It was good, but it was cold brew. The other two were good. I would say that they're equally as good. If I was going to get another one again, it would probably be the ube, because I enjoy ube, but the matcha was great as well. My biggest complaint, though, when it comes to those coffees or that coffee flight is that it was just so messy. I wish that it was like put together a little bit better, that the cream and syrups weren't all over the place, but they were, and that just made it a little bit difficult, especially to like take the coffee with you so that you could continue walking through the park. Now I know that that's not everyone's cup of tea, you know what I mean? But it would have been nice to like drink one or two and then casually stroll with the third, but it was like too sticky and too, I don't know, slippery. So, you know, there's that. Would I get it again? Probably not, okay? Not the flight at least. But you know what I would do is get one of the other two coffees, one of the special ones, matcha or ube, in a full-size coffee, because you can do that as well. I know that this was a question Russ was actually asking before I made my way out today. He was like, yeah, it's cool that they have all those flavors, but can you order them individually? Yes, you can. The price is... It's not here up in my noggin right now, but I'll put it right here. Just the price of a coffee, which isn't bad. So I do like that. I definitely would grab one of those on my way to wherever it is that I'm headed next, especially if I'm just going to stroll through the park. I like this. I like this edition. I like that it's different. It's interesting. It's special, you know? I feel like we don't get enough of that. I hope that this hangs around. I really do. But anyway, do you want to go do a little bit of shopping in the shops on our way out? Because it's really all I wanted to do today. I wanted coffee and breakfast. Oh, speaking of breakfast, sausage was a little tough, but it was good. I can't complain. $7. I did not go and get my water. I'm just realizing that right now. I got a little overwhelmed there for a second as the crowds kind of started piling in around me. So I just kind of got up and left. And then my hands were all sticky from everything. And the trash situation at Satu'li Canteen was weird. So forgot the water. So, I mean, it's no big deal. No big deal. But anyway, let's go shop. I don't know that there's any new merchandise for us to check out. But we'll look. We'll see if there's anything, and maybe we'll get lucky. There's also something else I want to keep an eye out for. They have a special pin trading board, or special pin trading boards throughout the parks that are just for kids to trade with. It's a special Mickey-shaped board with a red border. So we'll keep our eye out, see if we can find that as we're wandering through. But first, let's see if we can find any new merch. Is there anything that catches our eye? I feel like we haven't gone shopping in such a long time, so we'll see. I'm honestly not expecting too much, at least not right now, because it's that time of year where we don't see a ton of new merchandise here in the parks. We might get lucky with some Halloween merch here soon, but I don't know exactly when that's going to drop. We've been seeing little teasers here, there, and everywhere, but I don't know actual dates. Like I said, I've been a little behind the curve, having been sick for the past week, so my top priority has not been keeping up with news. It's been doing other things. Oh my goodness, guys. These ears. I have to try these on. All right, what do we think? They even have a little tail. These are adorable. I love it. Of course, we can complete the look with your Crocs, also with a little tail. How stinking cute are these? Oh, check this out. This looks new. Oh yeah, it even says new arrival. Little pastel stitch loungefly. Have you guys seen the Hey Hey crossbody by Loungefly? It is the wildest thing. I don't need any more Loungeflies, but I might need that one, you know? Like, Russ loves Hey Hey, and it's too cute to pass up, but it's $100, you know? So it's hardly a throwaway purchase, you know, like something that you just buy all willy-nilly. I do get a lot of use out of my bags though, but I'm always telling you I have too many. I have way too many. So do I really need another one? No. No, probably not. I might need these. We tried these on the other day. They're hilarious. Lots of Lion King stuff here. All stuff we've seen before. Nothing really new. I didn't see any Hey Hey Loungefly, so we are crossing traffic to jump into the Riverside Depot and see if it's in here. Why not? Let's get eyes on this thing. And plus, you know, whatever else is in here. Wow. Look at that incredibly unique shirt. The originality is just overflowing with this one. Then of course we have Bring On the Mickey snacks. You can barely see it on camera. You can barely see it in real life.
Maybe like tonight or something like that. Because I don't want to carry it around. Because I would never see it.
My goodness. What are they thinking? Oh, here we go. Got a shirt honoring the 250 years of the U.S. Army. I've said it before and I'll say it again. A little disappointing. The like just slapping on the same logo for all of the military appreciation stuff. They can do better than that. They definitely can. All right, let's see what else we stumble into over here. Got some t-shirts, Tinkerbell shirt, little zippy pouch here. How much is this? $14.99 for this. All right, so we saw a few things that caught our eye. Not a ton of new stuff, at least not that I noticed, but if anything we saw stood out to you, let us know. But I think that about does it for our day here at Animal Kingdom. We did talk about a little bit. We did kind of shake off a little bit of a cloud that was hanging over our head when we started the day, but you know what? It turned out all right. So just as another reminder, take the time you need when you're here on vacation, just like you need to take the time that you need when you're home. You know, I know it's the most magical place on earth, but sometimes you still have to deal with things here that you don't want to deal with. But yeah, it turned out to be a good day, and I'm glad you were here with me for it. Of course, looking forward to all the fun that we have planned in the future. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of things to talk about. I know I said that last time, and maybe you were expecting a little bit more out of today, but you know what? Sometimes you just need a slow start when you've been stuck in the house for a week. But yeah, I hope you have a fantastic day. Fantastic rest of your day wherever it is you are. And I hope you'll consider joining us in the next one. Until then, bye guys. Oh my God, I found it. I lost the Jeep for too long. I lost the Jeep. Want to see how close this guy parked to me? I don't know how they did it, but they're not still stuck in there, so they must have gotten out.